How many stories do we have to do on Minneapolis before people in Minneapolis get the message? You're not fooling anybody anymore. No matter how hard you try to ignore, deny, excuse, encourage, and even lie about black mob violence in your city, there's too much of it for you to keep it under cover for much longer. Here's the latest example, but here's what I thought was the interesting part. Let's look at the video clip, then let's look at the news story from the Star Tribune, where they point out something that is very interesting.
Metro Transit bus driver is recovering after several people assaulted him yesterday.
We're told it was so bad, some are worried whether he'll ever be able to return to his job. Fox 9's Leah Bino is in Southdale tonight in Edina where the assault took place.
Especially immediately after the assault, there were lots of worried people throughout the agency. And as people started to hear of the injuries and hear of the assault, there were lots of people kind of holding their breath a little bit. So it was a serious injury.
Howie Padilla with Metro Transit can't go into detail about the injuries one of his drivers suffered, but multiple sources tell Fox 9 there were fears about that driver possibly losing an eye, thus potentially losing his livelihood. That driver has worked for Metro Transit since 1994. Thursday around noon, during one of his layovers while operating Route 515 between the Mall of America and Southdale Center, some sort of verbal altercation started involving a group of teens. According to the police report, Edina police arrived on scene first, and the driver had a wound on his head that was bleeding and no recollection of the assault.
Not exactly sure what all transpired in the moments leading up to that assault. We're still working to get those details.
Padilla says of the 6 teens believed to be involved, all were questioned with one arrested, and surveillance videos are being looked at closely.
So, who did it? Who's responsible for this vicious attack on a bus driver that happens all the time? Who did it? Let's ask the Star Tribune. Hey, do you guys know who did it? Answer, yes, we know. We're not telling you. The geniuses at the Star Tribune had no trouble releasing the name of the white bus driver, thus making him a potential victim of witness intimidation and stitches for snitches. Oh yeah, you didn't know, or you had forgotten that victims are really, as far as the law is concerned, they're just witnesses. One of the local TV stations at least had enough sense to give us this person's name, which is Itonam Cagney. Let's check out Mr. Itonam Cagney's Facebook page and see who he is partying with these days. We'll give him some props for that. But they just can't resist screwing up these stories on some level. They just can't touch a story about racial violence without screwing it up. According to the charges filed, Itonam Cagney and 4 other teens were involved in the incident, which stemmed from an argument. Yeah, well, everything's an argument, isn't it? If you meet somebody on the street, they pull a gun on you, and they say, "Give me all your money, or we will kill you." And you answer back, I really would rather not give you my money, and I would like to live. Okay, so if you get shot, what is that a result of? An argument? There's a lot of arguments out there, aren't there? Anyway, so we know the guy's name is Itonam Cagney, and when this story first came out, I thought, okay, in Minneapolis, I have never heard of a group of white people attacking a bus driver. Especially in that part of Minneapolis, which is an old mall, one of the oldest malls in the country, let alone that town. But we don't really have the liberty around here to say, well, probably a bunch of black people. No, what we do is we confirm it. So a cop sent me this clip saying, yeah, okay, here's one of the names, and here's one of the names. And the rest of the people involved were also black. Just a couple of days ago, a columnist in Minneapolis, he writes a kind of an indignant column. The columnists love to write where they can stand up on a little bit of moral high ground, look down on everybody, and say, what the hell you guys are doing wrong. Well, one of this columnist's buddies, or one of this columnist, he wrote a column about a guy, a downtown booster, who went to the St. Patrick's Day parade downtown Minneapolis, and he got the hell beat out of him along with his family, and it happened to a bunch of other people this year, last year, and lots of other times. So the columnist goes, hey, why didn't anybody tell us? Why? Well, your newspaper and you have been ignoring, denying, condoning, excusing, encouraging, and even lying about the level of black mob violence in downtown Minneapolis, at the Mall of America, at this mall, on buses. There's an enormous amount there. And in Minneapolis, they're taking the denial and deceit and delusion to a new level. And then to have newspaper reporters come out and go, hey, how come nobody told us? Well, whose job is it to tell us? It's your job, and you're not doing it. Just the other day, we did a story in Denver where a reporter looked into the camera and said, well, we don't have a description on the people who attacked this cop and tried to kill him. When in fact, they did have a description. The people were black. And I suggested, well, if you knew what was going on and you didn't tell us, that's a lie. If you told us something different, that is a lie. And one of our readers on this channel, the viewers on this channel, wrote in and said, it's not really a lie, Colin. Well, it is, but it's more than that. It's an act of cowardice. And now we have all this argy-bargy in Minneapolis. So many people are in danger they have no idea of. And so, A, they don't know about it, and B, they can't do anything about it. The bus drivers know it, I promise you that. But who is going to tell the story of the bus drivers, how they are the victim of relentless racial violence, harassment, taunting, threats, and assault? I guess the Star Tribune is not going to be the one to do it. This is Colin Flaherty. If you're in Minneapolis, if you see a bus driver or a bunch of people at a St. Patrick's Day parade, just remind them, don't make the black kids angry.